Okay, cool. So, talk to me a little bit about your experience in theater and what brought you to Colorado.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I've been doing stuff on stage since I was an itty bitty baby. My parents are very theatrical people and musical people. My first breakout role was as Baby John, cousin of Baby Jesus, because I was hairless but too big to be a newborn. So didn't cry, really crushed, but have been doing plays and musicals and things of that nature ever since and really enjoying it. I come to Colorado by way of Chicago. I was out there studying improv with the Second City and just learned a ton and only grew to appreciate storytelling in all of its many forms even more while I was out there. But knew that I could not hack a Chicago winter one more time. So Colorado was calling me with its beautiful mountains, and I've found a lot of just delightful people in the art scene out here since landing about a year and a half ago.
Okay, so obviously you're married.
Mhm.
Do you have children or
No children. I have animals that
a
love to
cat?
get in on the shot when they can. There's a dog around here somewhere as well. But no, we're just kind of in like an adventurous stage of life right now. Just enjoying kind of jumping into whatever new adventure shows up. But we've been married almost 6 years now. So we're going
Wow.
strong. Yeah. Yeah.
And where did you meet?
We met in college at an audition for a play. I do not remember him from that interaction. He very much remembered me and was like, I got to figure out who that is. But yeah, we got to do some plays together in college, and that was a ton of fun as well. So
I think that's the way it always works, right?
yeah, oh, totally, totally.
We never like they never remember us, but we always remember them for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm
Perfect.
not supposed to admit that I didn't remember him. So like
Oh,
that should definitely,
we'll cut that out.
definitely make the cut.
Yeah, exactly. So talk to me a little bit about what excited you about this part specifically.
Absolutely. I think the wasps in general are absolutely phenomenal. Like I feel like women nowadays don't know enough about what pioneers they were in their day and age. And definitely working on this play, I've done more research, but from the little I knew about them going into the audition, I was like, any show that's going to get like the spotlight on these women has been a long time coming, first of all. And hopefully is going to allow us to really break down the fact that, yeah, these women are heroes, but they're also very real, living, breathing people that were feeling all the insane emotions of wartime. And definitely just the 1940s, the opportunity to do some 1940s hair and makeup and costumes. I'm never going to turn that down if I can help it. So the period plus just the subject itself, I thought was fascinating.
Are there any things as you're doing your research that you've come across that have really um, changed your thought of the time period or shaped what you're doing with Susan, your character, or any of those sort of things?
I think one thing that really jumped out at me was the camaraderie between these women and the fact that they went on to be friends and stay in touch and form their own community for decades after, still going strong even now. And just that level of support between women isn't something that you see just a ton of in your day-to-day life, unfortunately. And I think getting to watch these women be pioneers in a field and support each other and elevate each other when they could, and build these beautiful friendships, I thought was just very compelling and warmed me through and through when I think about my dear girlfriends and what would we have been doing during wartime. I don't know that we would have been wasps, but you can dream.
Bring that kind of full circle. Are there pieces of this character that you really see yourself in?
Being a married person and just relating to just any time that I've missed my husband and he's been gone on business or work, it's painful, and then to ramp that up into, my husband's been gone for 4 years during a war, and I don't know that I will see him again. Like I definitely have nothing to compare that to, but just starting to kind of sink into the character and think about being a wife, being a woman who is determined and wants to push the boundaries of where women should be in society. All of that resonates very deeply with me. Susan also seems to have like a pretty good like sense of humor, despite also having to be like the driving force, keeping the airfield going while Bob is gone. So that mixture of humor, but also determination, I'd like to think I see in myself for sure. I feel like she's very compelling in that way.
Are there are there things that you're discovering in this character that you feel have changed enough to maybe in our current society and climate that maybe are less stifling and less pigeonholing for women specifically as you're looking through this character's eyes and lens through them living in the 1940s, you know?
Totally. So, I mean, there's a couple lines in the show that talk about, well, you women weren't doing anything dangerous. You weren't really putting yourselves out there, which first of all, wasn't true then. But I feel like we see women doing dangerous things all the time now in society. And that to me, it's kind of wild that we had to earn the right to get to do dangerous stuff over the years, because we've always been capable of taking it on and crushing it. So I think getting to look at some of the progress that's been made just around the thinking of, again, where women belong in society. It's so nice to be doing this play far enough removed that some of the things that this show is touching on, maybe the exact circumstances aren't relevant anymore, but definitely that through line of just women trying to break that glass ceiling is still a very real thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Is there something that that you found so far that is kind of your favorite part of the show so far?
I'm really loving the first half of the show. The second half of the show is a little heavier because we're really delving into some of the, honestly, just trauma that people are bringing to the table because of wartime, and the ways that people are trying to keep it together, even though things are falling apart and should fall apart, just to be able to heal through it. But I'm really enjoying the first half of the show because there are these really just silly light moments, whether they're super flirtatious, whether it's just, the gals all hanging out around the airfield, chatting up, their glory days, or, poking fun at each other. Again, that really reminds me of spending time with my girlfriends. So yeah, the first half of the show is a ton of fun, and it does take a bit of a turn there for the second half, which I still also love. Theron, I also love.
That's good. Can you talk to me a little bit about if an audience member were to leave with one thought that you wanted to impart upon them as a fellow actor, as a performer, as a storyteller, what would that thought be?
Ooh. It's like hard to pick because I feel like you could walk away from the show with a couple different big ticket items, and they would all be correct and right and good. I think just like the human toll of war and the fact that people can definitely bear up under it, but just to be aware that like there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into these types of conflicts. I'm not a fan of war myself, and I would like for us to try to avoid that as the greater world as a whole. But I think also just the deep strength and resiliency that people have inside them. I think every person has that. I don't think that the people in the show are unique in that they're able to tough it out and get to that brighter future and that brighter day ahead of them. I think everybody has that capability, but it is about leaning on each other and hanging in there as a group, as a community.
If you so far in your journey in this character, what do you think is the lesson that we all take a lesson with us after we play every character? Mm-hmm. And what is the lesson you're so far feeling that you were going to take with you as you leave this?
Probably a little bit similar to that big takeaway in that Susan does try to just like lone wolf it for a lot of the show. And according to what we know from the script, has been kind of carrying a very heavy burden by herself for a long time, both in just Bob not being there and in taking care of the airfield and feeling like she's got to support and take care of the community around her. I think for me, the lesson I'm taking away from Susan is like vulnerability is a strength. Like just toughing it out isn't the only strength that exists, but showing that vulnerability and admitting that you cannot do it by yourself it takes its own very special, very deep strength as well.
because we're going to, not to make this last forever, we're going to close here in just a second. So if you could tell the audience that is looking at coming to the show, if you could give them 3 words that you think define this show and the experience that they will have, what would those 3 words be?
Sure. Dynamic, for sure. Dynamic. Resiliency, which like is a big word feeling vibe, but you will get a lot of that. And then probably just heroism. I feel like every single person or character rather in the show is very much a hero and a champion of something in their own right. And I think you'll really see that.
Okay. If you could give one statement on departing Elizabel that you want to tell the people who are going to look on our Facebook or whatever, what would that be?
About myself, about the character?
Anything. Like,
about
come
me.
see the show. What are your thoughts? Like,
Yeah.
life, anything. What would you want to depart this interview on?
I think it would be like, hey, audience, we have just come out of a time that has required a lot of resiliency and a deepening of community that has been 2020 and the past couple of months as well. The light is at the end of the tunnel, and this will be a great way to come together, support the arts, just dig into a deep, beautiful story that is American through and through, and celebrate the end of hopefully this very strange chapter we've all gone through, and have some laughs and see some good costumes and hair and makeup and actors. And so please come out. I think you'll enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing you there.